Now we're off to match 4, where we've got Dwayne Gelardi out of Winnipeg, 32-year-old, against Bradley Tytgat here from Edmonton, 22-year-old. And Mark, you might think that the 32-year-old is the veteran bowler out of this, but Brad's been playing high levels of bowling competition against the adults when he was like 15 years old. The first year that the WCBT was formed, it wasn't televised yet, but he was the first winner of that.
Brad's the inaugural champion,
He's won some major cash tournaments. This kid can play, right? He may be a favorite to win this today. He may not be, because there's so many good bowlers. But don't discard Dwayne out. Dwayne's been bowling the last few years, and he's been holding his own really well. So, again, another interesting match, and I can hardly wait to see. You're also going to see a lot of emotion come from Brad.
I was just going to say we might see some intensity in
Brad,
this one.
Brad throws the ball, and he lets you know what's going on. So looking forward to this match, and let's get her going.
Let's go.
All right, this is going to be a fun match to watch. Dwayne Gelardi and Bradley Tytgat.
You know, Brad is so fun to watch, right? He's full of emotion. This game means so much to him. He's
both these guys are going to be
Dwayne's
jacked
an
and
intense guy
juiced.
too.
Dwayne is him and his brother, and coming out of Winnipeg. Great group of people out of Winnipeg there.
You know, it's funny. I was talking with Dwayne, and it's a funny background. He never bowled YBC at all, and YBC is our youth bowling council, which is where young kids learn to develop and learn how to bowl. And Dwayne never bowled YBC. He was heavily involved in other sports. He actually had a scholarship for football to go down south, and then he got sick, and sort of had to find something else to do. So took up bowling at the age of 21. So for everybody out there that thinks, you know what, I missed out on it, get in there and learn the game. Obviously, he's an athlete, and you know, he's learned to bowl and bowl really well.
Takes us fair.
Good start.
Yeah, Bradley, obviously in the pre-match intro we said Bradley's the inaugural tour champion. That year we didn't have any filming. And then Bradley was also on the show last year. So he won his first match last year against Danny Bayer, and then lost to Adam Weber, the eventual champion.
So this is a match play format where every frame is worth some money and points. So you have to win more than 5 frames to win the match, or your total score. So it's not a total score only. It's every frame, every ball count.
Kind of like a skins game in golf, I guess.
Big shot to start.
Big shot
for
right off
Bradley.
the right off
Throwing
the
down
get-go.
some emotion early. He is ready to go.
Oh yeah,
One frame.
Brad's always ready to go right from the start. Now, one thing you notice about Brad is we've had some other tall bowlers on here today. Bradley's also tall and lanky, but he rolls the ball really well, right?
Yeah.
He's got a good deep knee bend, and he rolls the ball. So he doesn't have to get the ball out on the lane very far to have good rotation.
So you see Bradley's throwing 2 frames at a time. Now everybody will bowl 2 frames each. So you're always playing catch-up and then leading off.
Okay, so these guys are a little higher ranked in the 5'10" universe rankings. Bradley is number 4th ranked, and Dwayne is 12th. So obviously the last few years, these guys have been playing really well. Little heavy, chop off.
A little heavy. Likes to talk what's going on out there. Great to see. You know, it's interesting. Bradley's 22 years old. And you talked about the YBC where Dwayne didn't start until that age. You know, Bradley had an amazing career in his YBC years and making many nationals. And even since then, being out of the youth ranks, you know, he's almost done everything already.
Right on the nose.
An Open, Masters, you know.
There's that cherry chop off we were talking about before. Throws the ball well, hits what he's aiming at, doesn't get rewarded for the shot.
Chop cherry, most dreaded shot there is.
Oh, it gives
Clears
Dwayne
it
a chance
hard,
to get his first
hard thrower. Yeah.
Everybody out there in the bowling world knows that Brad's got a younger brother, Tyler, who we're going to see later on here, right? And the two of them are both bowling sensations, both in YBC and the tour.
Both of these sets of brothers, right? Dwayne and his brother Sam, and Bradley and his brother Tyler. I mean, these are guys.
The Wisemans too.
The Wisemans. We're going to see a lot of these brothers playing for many years to come.
Little left, just yanked her a little left.
He can still spare for the win, though.
So you notice with Dwayne, the way he throws the ball, he's He's a little bit like Brian Hurst. He's more bent over at the waist and doesn't have a big high backswing, but gets the ball out in front of him really well. But if he turns the ball over too quickly, he will pull the ball left. But he does have nice roll on the ball.
Wow, that's a tough one. I thought that was going to go on
maybe
the
that
inside.
was a little bit on the inside. But another frame goes to... No, not because Bradley didn't get the spare.
Clean it up
Yeah,
to
clean it up
tie.
for a carryover, yeah. Now Dwayne comes out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Winnipeg's had a number of great bowlers out of that city. So I was asking him, since he started
Carryover,
since
good
he
job.
started at a later age, was there anybody that helped him along his way? And he mentioned the Jeff Bourne, so a lot of influence with that, and Jeff being a great bowler. Doug Wood out there, Steve Stasiak, lots of great bowlers out of Manitoba to learn from.
Stevie Stasiak, we went to a national championship together in 2004.
We did.
You were all three of us
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
Lynn was the
everybody
coach.
had that.
Young Mark Johnstone and Daryl Bradley out there, right? Maybe partying a bit too hard, but had a nice successful run at the nationals. And
Yeah, we led in tournament and lost our last game, and then finished second, and then lost our stepladder game to
That's
get
right.
the bronze.
Yeah.
Right, we were one game away from having to be beat twice.
all right, Dwayne can throw a strike here, be the leader, put the pressure on Bradley. There you go,
little
gets a
thin.
slider,
Wasn't
little
sure.
thin, gets a slider. Okay, so now Bradley needs to strike in order to carry over that second frame.
It's nice to get that strike out of the way.
You know, these games aren't won in the first or second frame. It's long game sometimes. You know, it's only 10 frames, but still, you got to grind. You got to work right to the end, every single ball. Nice smooth shot. That was a great shot.
Carryover. So we have a 2-frame carryover now. So we're still $50 a frame this round. This will be the last match in this round, and the money bumps up.
You know, it was interesting. Talking to Bradley before, he had said last year that he almost got himself more worried about how he was going to react rather than focusing on the shot. So it's interesting here today that he's throwing, you know, a big strike and with such big emotion.
Yeah.
So I think
People often wonder about the emotion part. How do you get?
He's gonna manage
after such
that.
an emotional shot? How do you get yourself set up for the next one, right? And Brad's got the experience to be able to control that.
Yeah. It's good to let the release go because you're fired up inside there. You were ready to, you know, blow.
As long as you can keep your focus for the next shot and not get too.
That was another great shot. I
See,
think he.
that was,
I think
From,
he.
from back here, that looked awesome, and
Yeah.
he said get lucky. So
Yeah,
he knows.
he
it.
knew.
That's-
Within that split second, he knew that something wasn't quite there.
I think he just laid her down a hair or something.
That's how well he knows his game, right? His release. He focuses so much on the release of the ball coming out of his hand.
So the third frame was a carryover. We're going into the fourth now. Dwayne needs a strike in order to carry that over as well. Yeah, two and three are a carryover. Oh,
yeah, that's
great
a great
shot.
shot.
Great answer. Great answer.
Well
it's,
done.
It's really nice to watch Dwayne because
Yeah.
you don't have to gun the ball, right? His approach is nice and easy, and he throws the kind of ball that it looks like he could bowl for days.
Yeah,
without getting
it's
tired.
interesting looking at the two different players here. Bradley's got a really big backswing,
Yeah.
and Dwayne almost doesn't take it back very far at all, does he?
His left arm is just
Yeah.
right in
Well,
there.
his
There's
right
a lot,
arm
of,
even
lot
is-
of different
yeah.
ways to throw the
Yeah.
ball in this
Yeah.
game, right? But some of the constants are the same: being solid at the line, getting the ball out in front of you, But yeah, there's lots of ways to throw strikes.
I went out to the pre-fall finale in Winnipeg, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and he was just coming up, and
Yeah.
he's improved a ton.
Yeah.
Well, these guys work at their game. They're athletes just like any other sport, and they play, practice and practice and practice. He knew there.
Great shot. Great
Big shot for Dwayne. He knew that as well.
Yeah, you're talking about athletes. I mean, obviously he had a scholarship for football, right?
Well,
to
sure.
Go down into the
Yeah.
U.S. So there's a lot of really competitive people that enjoy the game of bowling because it fills a void and allows them to
Yes.
stay competitive and
Yeah.
do what they want to do.
Yeah, ex-athletes that come
Yeah.
and play, and they can.
We've got a lot of
you
them.
know, these approaches and lane conditions, I find it a lot easier on the body as we're getting older. The new acrylic or the new approaches, it's easier to slide. Yeah.
Not something I enjoy more, but hey.
Well, that was another
Free
absolute
carryover.
bomb.
In bowling terms,
Bomb.
we call that a bomb.
Yeah,
because
that-
was just
yeah.
like right out of his hand, you knew that was gone.
What a match.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like we got another exciting match on our. You know, Daryl, you were talking about the bowling alley and everything and how great it is. They've done so much work, and the Wisemans need to be commended for not just their bowling alley, but the amount of work they do in the community and around Edmonton for the game of bowling.
Well, and you know, let's congratulate them on last year winning Proprietor of the
Proprietor
Year
in Bowling
across
Alley of the Year,
across
yeah.
Canada.
Yep.
And there's a reason for that.
There is a reason for that.
You know,
I've said
Scott
Tim
and
and
Wendy.
Dexter are highly involved in the game, and bowling's going to be in good shape in Edmonton for a lot of years with those guys and their mom and dad behind them.
Yeah, so sometimes
Yeah, maybe something.
just need to, you're having bad thoughts and you need to take a reset and just regroup. Hey, every time I have a bad thought and I go up there, it's not a good thing. So it's probably a good idea to set back and take your time.
Well, and that's the thing too. You got to understand your own game. You got to know yourself, right? So he knew he wasn't ready, so he reset and started his routine over again.
So he's leading now into the sixth. He's the first one to play the sixth frame. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It'll be interesting to ask him later why he stepped off. What was it? Something just didn't feel right, and unfortunately came back in the punch.
A little quick there.
Got a little quick there.
In the second, yeah. Sure gives Dwayne a big
That
opportunity.
one back a lot
Yeah.
from his second ball.
This gives Dwayne a big opportunity here. Dwayne strikes. There's a 5-frame carryover, or 4 frames. So this will be 5 frames if he wins. Which
Yeah, he's got 163 in the sixth, and he could be down 4 frames to 1.
Yeah,
5 frames to 1. It's a
great start though for both of these players.
It's tough because they've been sitting around for a couple hours.
yeah, watching everybody else throw and.
Okay, you got a little bit of a break. He wasn't sure about that one.
So he still needs to make the spare in order to win the frames. A 15 count if he happens to is still another carryover. So go and clean up the spare, Dwayne, and you got 5 frames in your pocket.
And $250.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this would be the shot to pick it, because if he misses it, there's a lot of pressure on that third ball to pick it for 15 to force the carryover.
Yes.
So.
I wouldn't want to be doing that.
And he's all over it.
Got it.
5-frame carryover
Big
for Dwayne
carryover.
Gelardi.
That's 5 frames to 1 now for Dwayne Gelardi. Gelardi.
Yeah, that was proved last match, eh? And the match before with Brian Hurst coming back from an early 4-1 deficit to win.
Does Dwayne, relax a little bit here now, or does you got to keep the throttle going? How do you feel now?
You haven't sealed it up yet.
Yeah.
You really got to focus on what you're doing, because we always say in bowling you can't control what the other guy does. So you got to keep control of your emotions and your thoughts.
You can only control yours. Yeah.
It's on the side. It looked a little different from this angle. Okay, that's a head pin.
Looked a little more left to rightish, right? And whereas the other one's almost a little bit right. But nonetheless, he does have 5 frames.
He's only up by 10, but he's up 5 frames to 1, which is the big deal.
It's about timing, right? Oh. Okay, that gives Bradley a little opening. So he can get 12. This is max score this frame. Both these guys have had perfect games. Dwayne's actually got 1136 triple, which is a very good triple. Bradley has a 1070 triple, so both really good scores. Whoops. Okay, shake it off, smile it off. Yep.
That's it.
Okay, 7 there for Dwayne. So
It's a tough after you win 5 frames on a high motion to come back and like we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's
That has,
opportunity though for Bradley to start again, right? He's thrown a good ball, so.
Yeah, Brad knows he can't make a mistake. I mean, he should be okay. We got a small ball jam on the return, so ball's not coming up. So we'll have a little bit of a break here. Daryl, you've
Go ahead, Mark.
you've been an athlete of many sports. You played high levels of soccer. You played high levels of volleyball.
Yep.
You're a competitive 5-pin bowler. What's the difference between some of the other sports and 5-pin bowling? I've talked to athletes that have played professional hockey, been high levels of football, played other sports, and they say they've always done really well, but they have a hard time in bowling. What's the difference?
Yeah.
What makes bowling so tough?
It's so it can come so quick, and it can be gone so quick. You know, in a soccer game or something, you're in 90 minutes playing. So if you might have a couple of bad minutes, that's fine in the grand scheme of things. Where if you have a couple of bad minutes here, the game's over. It's done. And it's, you're relying so heavily on yourself, so the mental game gets tougher and tougher and tougher because you let that moment of weakness come into your brain. It's hard to get back sometimes.
All right, let's see what Brad's got to come back with.
Okay, little thin, but that's enough to take the
enough to
frame.
win the frame.
Wins the frame.
But at the same time, Lynn, I think that's why a lot of us athletes like this, because it is on us. We don't have to rely on anybody else. You're relying on yourself when you're playing in an individual format. Sure, if you have a team, tournament or something, but on this tour, you're relying on yourself. And you can really then, break it down into 4 seconds, 2 seconds. You can execute a shot. It's a 3-step approach and execution. And then, you know what, take a break and let yourself have a mental break, and then you're back up again for the next 4 seconds.
Right.
So you don't have to have prolonged moments of focus.
Okay, so if he throws a strike here, it'll actually be a head and pinfall.
He'll be a head and pinfall, but down 5-2.
5-2. Just has to throw a ball to be a head.
But it's not over, and Bradley Tytgat is not one to count out at all.
Now you said before, Mark, from the angle that you're sitting, which is close to me, did that 3-pin look like it was off a bit too, or was that just a little bit of a thin hit?
I think it was a thin hit. I didn't notice it there. Because usually right before the ball hits the pins, you'll notice last second where the 3-pin is from this angle. And you think that one looked okay, just a little thin.
Yeah. With the speed that Brad throws, being thin, the ball, oops, he's off balance there. That's, oops, I was getting ahead of myself.
That's tough. On the other flip side, when we saw Dwayne have that emotional letdown after the 5-frame win, it's tough for a player to know that you lost 5 frames, and it gets hard, right?
He's a little
and
discouraged.
You've thrown good balls.
Yeah.
You get discouraged, and it's just sort of.
In this format, you can't let that get you. You have to get 15. If you're throwing a game, sure, whatever. But frame by frame.
Easy for us to say when we're sitting up here at this table, right? But these players are out there, and it's a pressure shot every single one.
That's the difference from you have a bad frame when you're playing score. It's all right, but this, every bad frame can cost you.
So Dwayne needs a spare strike or 15 count to win this frame.
A little thin there.
Yeah. So he can spare this or get it on the third ball, and he wins the match. Yeah, and the match is over. Yeah. Dwayne takes his time probably longer than most out here.
I think
is really focusing.
I think
on
if Dwayne picks this, Brad's going to look back at that spare and think, you know what, I should have handled the spare situation a little differently.
Yeah.
And
Well done.
Well
That's
done,
all she
Dwayne.
wrote. That's another frame for Dwayne.
That's a 6th frame.
Yeah. Okay, now they're just playing for dollars. So Dwayne will be moving forward 6 frames. Well, the winner of this match would have played Tyler. Will play Tyler.
I would have played Tyler, so we could have seen a situation where Bradley would have been playing his brother Tyler.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
It would have been great, yeah. Well, you know what? These guys are young. They're going to be playing in this tour finals for many, many years, so we'll see it again.
Nice shot.
Yeah. Now it's about some mojo and feeling and getting used to the lanes for Dwayne. So
You can tell that Dwayne's got a bit of a sports background behind him, because he's really calm in this situation. He looks under control, and he knows what he's doing. Oops.
a little bumpy on that one.
Yeah.
It's again tough.
He's a little discouraged.
Yeah,
Understandable.
Brad's such an emotional guy, and he invests everything into it. And winning is so important to him. He knows it's over, and I think his focus is not quite where it should be right now. He knows that. But Brad will be back to fight another day. That's the way Brad is.
Okay, so 12 count there for Brad.
Another frame.
Another frame for Dwayne. There it
That was
is.
a freewheel and good shot there too, right?
Good shot. It's tough because you're thinking, oh, where is that a few frames ago?
Exactly, yeah. But you're right, what you said earlier, Daryl. It's over so fast, right? It just one ball that you didn't throw the way you wanted to, right? And it's done.
Especially when you have a 5-frame carryover, right? It's just it goes either way.
Well, you're playing the best players in Canada,
Yeah.
and you just can't give them an inch. Right?
Okay, another strike there for Bradley. So he's got a double. Okay, 261.
Yeah, 3 absolute bombs by
Yeah.
Bradley.
Yeah.
That's a little bit hard on himself, but it really just comes down to that one punch in 6.
Yeah, he can be a little bit difficult on himself. He's quite hard, but it just means so much to him,
Didn't
right?
miss the middle at all the entire game. Just a punch. That's it.
I think that missed
The
corner
chop.
was the shot.
Yeah, the missed corner was the head pin.
In order to get back into it, sure.
There's that good roll.
Yeah, and there's Dwayne.
That's a
Another
little
good
different.
roll, but
Okay, so Bradley will take the 10th frame then. He could even win by a score depending on what he does.
Yeah. Good half.
and there's a spare.
255 with one ball left. Got 260.
It'd be nice to see him throw a strike in the end and win the total as well.
Yeah, it all came down to that big carryover again.
Dexter's number 1 seed, Taylor's number 5.
Oh, got the push.
There's what that good roll on the ball will do. It gives you such great action. All right, 270 to 261 in score, and 7 frames to 3 in frames, and our winner is Dwayne Gelardi, and he will be moving on.
Okay, that was match number 4. We had the 8th seed Dwayne Gelardi against Bradley Tytgat, the number 9th seed. Dwayne had a 270 in 7 frames, and Bradley with a 261 in 3 frames. So how did that unfold?
That was a really close match. Once again, we're talking about carryover frames, right? It seems to be the one that can win the carryovers seems to have the advantage in the game. Missing that corner pin for Brad was big, but that's part of the game, right? You got to pick your spares as well as throw your strikes. So that one's done. So now what we've done is we've included our seeded bowlers. Our top 4 bowlers are now seeded into the next round. And starting off in the first match here of the next round, we got Dexter Wiseman, who is the number 1 seed in the tournament. He's already won Bowler of the Year title, and he owns the darn place.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's unfair? I mean, how can a guy like that get play in his own house? Dexter truly is a phenomenal bowler. He leads by example. Everybody in the game loves him and the family, right? Is he the guy to beat? He's playing Taylor Michelle, who won his first match. Taylor from Thunder Bay. Does Dexter have a big advantage here in one game, or is it anybody's shot?
I don't know, it's hard to say. Taylor's already played a game, so he's already been out there, got a feel for it.
Right.
Dexter's the #1 seed, so you can't count him out either. So I think it's a flip of the coin, really. Just whoever gets on a roll first.
Yeah. Again, it's one game, and again, if it gets into a big carryover, that one frame could mean the end.
Okay, let's take a few moments to acknowledge our sponsors, and thanks for all your support over the years.